Hey everyone, this week I'm talking about a note that's kind of weird to me. I can't figure out if I like it or don't like it, and maybe you can help me. We're gonna crowdsource it. Stay tuned. Cardamom for me is kind of a funny note. It's I'm familiar with it from culinary experiences. I remember when I was in India for a month on doing work. Very common for them. They have tea breaks, you know, because of the history with the British, they still have tea breaks. And very common for them to have Iranian chai, and that has a lot of cardamom in it. Very delicious. I love cardamom. I think it's an interesting culinary note. I kind of think of it like diet nutmeg. To me, it comes across as like a little bit more mild version of nutmeg. I think in fragrances, that's kind of the case as well. So it's weird for me, because I have some of my favorite fragrances feature cardamom, and then other fragrances where I'm like, you smell good, but there's something in here that I can't quite figure out. And so maybe you guys can help me figure that out. So I've got 4 fragrances here. I'll go through them. I'm gonna leave the most puzzling one for last. We'll just kind of sort this out. And if you have any thoughts along the way, please leave a comment below. So first up, I have Low Hanging Fruit, but this one is just amazing, and that's the one EDP from Dolce & Gabbana. I also have the EDT, I have Mysterious Night, I have Royal Night, I have, is that it? I'm trying to get Luminous Night. I was really hoping Luminous Night was gonna show up on someone's website on Black Friday. I was really like thinking maybe they were sitting on some stock, but it might just be gone. Yeah, I know Fragrance World has a Luminous Night clone. I have been pretty underwhelmed by Fragrance World. So I'm hesitant to spend more money on them because it's just, I think that bottle with the bullet looks pretty cool, but I don't know the fragrance that it's cloning. So, I don't know. I'm kind of soft on Fragrance World. Not on the one though. This was one of the earliest fragrances that in my modern collection that I picked up, and I immediately understood the purpose of this. I was like, oh, smell that. Yeah, that's a date night fragrance. It's so alluring. It's seductive. It's got this just kind of appealing sweetness to it. There's a tobacco, there's a little bit of booziness to it. And there is that cardamom note. And in this one though, I feel like the cardamom is taking a back seat to a lot of the other players, but it's still detectable to me. I feel like I'm keenly sensitive to cardamom, so I'm picking it up. But in this composition, it's just, I feel like it's singing with the other notes in this. Like, this to me is one of the most well-composed designer fragrances. I know people complain about the longevity. I don't have any problem with the longevity. This is a date night fragrance. You don't want it to last 8 hours. If you do want it to last 8 hours, just get the one Royal Night, because that one lasts 8 hours, and that's like a hyper concentrated version of this one, I feel like. That being said, this is, I think, one of the most stunning fragrances. So, like, off of this, I would think, oh yeah, cardamom, much my jam. However, the next fragrance, which I'll talk about here shortly, not my jam. This one for me, I just can't get past this. Like, this came out, I think the original came out in like 2008 or something like that. And this is something that to me feels like a modern classic. Like, this feels like the sort of DNA that you could keep around forever. This just feels like yeah, it's a date night fragrance, but it still feels mature. It doesn't feel like it will be dated. And I guess that's the case because it's been around for what, 14 years now, and it's still very, very popular. It's just a great scent. So good on this one. Okay, next up, we're gonna talk about what I think is maybe one of the more overhyped fragrances in Fragcom, though I haven't been hearing it as much recently, and that's Halloween Man X. This one, I think I know why I'm not wild about it. It has been growing on me, even in the air though. So if you dig your nose into it like that, yeah, okay, it's fine. But my problem with this one is actually in the air. If I'm getting dilutions of this, it's a lot of coffee and cardamom is kind of like the big things in this. And again, it's like not a bad scent, but something about the way the coffee is done in this comes across to me like coffee breath. That's mitigated in cooler air, but if you're inside, if it heats up on your skin, it just smells to me like coffee breath. And that's a problem I have generally with coffee notes, is they do that. So I guess in this one, it's not really the cardamom that's making me go, huh? It's probably more of the coffee, but I don't know. Coffee and cardamom should be a match made in heaven, right? I mean, that's a pretty natural pairing. And for whatever reason, it just doesn't really work for me in this. I wish it did. I've worn it several times, and I will say it has grown on me more than when I first smelled it, but it's still something that I don't reach for, because it's like coffee, cardamom, and then laundry detergent. Is there like lavender? Is that a big part of Halloween Man X? Yep, there we go. So cardamom, lavender, lemon, coffee, whiskey, cinnamon, leather, mineral notes, tonka beans, amber, incense. So, okay, well, at least I think I figured out this one. I think mixing coffee, cardamom, and lavender this way doesn't work for me. I think I love lavender. I think it's a beautiful scent. At this point, it has been so done in laundry detergent and dishwashing detergent and dish soap, you know, all this stuff. Lavender all over the place. In this kind of form where it's kind of that clean sort of lavender, that to me, this kind of comes across like a weird mixture of coffee, and it's like you spilled coffee on your shirt and you put it into the wash. It's just kind of a weird fragrance that doesn't really work for me. I feel like I like contrast and stuff like that, but this is kind of just a weird contrast that I feel like they're not really playing together. As opposed to the one EDP, I don't feel like the notes in this are really working together to create something. They're kind of just stacked on top of one another. It just doesn't work for me. All right, tell me your thoughts on that one. All right, next up is the fragrance that actually started off my modern collection, and that is Azzaro's The Most Wanted Eau Intense. I think this isn't the, Parfum Intense. It's not the other one that came the year after. This is such a cool fragrance. This one was sent to me for free. It was like a year and a half though, and it was by Influencer, so it wasn't by Azzaro. Well, I guess it was probably through Azzaro indirectly, but I don't think Azzaro got anything out of it. I did though. This fragrance rules. This is the reason why I got into this hobby, like in modern sense. Like, I had a fragrance that I was wearing and stuff like that as a signature scent, but this is where I was like, oh, they're doing something different and interesting. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, from Azzaro The Most Wanted, what? But like, it's so different. And yeah, my sister-in-law says I smell like a candle when I wear it, but I love this one so much. It smells so good, and it just gets better the longer it goes. Like, one of the best parts of this fragrance is the dry down, and like the long dry down, when this is like a full skin scent where you just like, you have to dig in, but you get smells, and it's just this like soft, sweet toffee. So again, in this one, the cardamom is playing with everything here, because this is a very gourmandy, very rich, sweet, syrupy fragrance. And I feel like the cardamom fits in there. It's kind of like you get like a baklava sort of a thing going on. I mean, this doesn't smell like a baklava, but that sort of nuts plus, you know, sweetness. I know cardamom isn't a nut. You get what I'm saying. So this one is just so good. It's so good. It's so good. I really like the one that came right after too. It might be a little bit redundant, but I like this one so much that I want to get a bottle of that just because I want more of it. So how come I love this one so much? When the next one, okay, I think as I'm going through this, it's really that I have a beef with the last fragrance here. We'll get to it, but like, this one is so good. Like, why is the cardamom in this so awesome? And it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. If you haven't smelled The Most Wanted, at this point you can get it for cheap on discounters. Any of the Wanted line typically gets on discounters for pretty cheap. I think they just discontinued Wanted by Night, which is a shame. That one finally grew on me, but I have a bottle, so that's fine. This one's so good though. If you haven't smelled it, I say you should pick it up or get a sample or go to Ulta and smell it or something like that. It's so interesting, and it's so good, and it's such a beast. It's a great wintertime fragrance and a great example of cardamom done really well. So let's talk about why we're here. It's this fragrance that for me has been an enigma since the first time I smelled it. Like when I picked this up, I think I picked it up, I don't know, almost a year ago at this point, and it was being unbelievably hyped, and that is YSL's Blue Electrique. I guess I should say it's La Nuit de l'Homme Blue Electrique. But this one, you know, like, part of me wonders if it's just hyped because it's just not available in the US. But the thing is, it smells good. It smells good, but to me, I think I may be having like the same kind of experience that women who went clubbing a lot have with like Eros EDP. I smell Eros EDP and it smells like a Sunday morning usher to me. Like it smells like the perfect like greeter at a church sort of a smell. You hug them and it's just kind of this minty, fresh thing going on, right? It smells really good and clean and fresh to me. If you went clubbing a lot, it smells like skeezy, gross guys, I imagine. This for me, I think there's some weird association because every time I smell this, I just think of like a cool dude in the 90s in a Fiero. Like when I say cool, there's scare quotes around it. Like, it's like, the color of the bottle and everything, Blue Electric, it fits perfectly because this feels like driving at night. Like, is it Night Call by Kavinsky? If
I'm giving you a night call, tell you how I feel.
If you've ever heard that song, I'll see if I can throw like just a brief clip up. That feels like the theme song of this fragrance. And all this stuff is like, well, it sounds like you really like it. And like, I really like this one, but I don't at the same time. And I can't figure out why. And the only thing that I can land on is the cardamom, because that thing just, it stands out to me so strong. I've smelled other from this line, and to be honest, I think if you're like wanting it that bad, there are other fragrant, like, this is gonna get me slayed for having a pleb nose, but like the new Gucci Guilty Elixir is just a cardamom to me. It's just cardamom. I smelled it and I was like, oh, it just smells like Blue Electrique, except I don't think it's as good as Blue Electrique, but it's just a lot of cardamom. And that's what this is to me too. And I have this funky association, and I have been trying for a year to either unravel it, get past it, understand it, and I just can't for whatever reason, and it's driving me nuts. Because like, I want to like this fragrance, and I kind of do, but I also feel like I need to be dressed up like the Fawns when I'm wearing it or something. I'm not old enough to even know Happy Days that well, but I know the reference, so. But I'm sure anyone watching this video might not get it. That being said, don't import this. If you can get a bottle, you know, on the cheap somewhere, sure, go ahead. I don't think it's worth the hype. I think it's a good fragrance. I think there's a lot better stuff out there. Like, I think if, like, this to me fits in the same slot as the one EDP. I feel like Night of the Electric Blue Man is going to also be one of those things that people will say use as a date night fragrance, something like that, and it works, but the one is just so much better. The Most Wanted is so much better. I know that's blasphemy because people herald this as like a grail fragrance, or they did a year ago. Am I missing something? Was this thing just overhyped and I'm just like I'm immune to the hype on this one and unconvinced by it, or is there something I'm not getting in? I know fragrances are subjective, but we can crack this. There's an objective element to this. We can figure out why this is funky for me. You may not be able to, but I can if I smell it enough. So I'm gonna burn through the entire bottle just smelling it over and over on my wrist and test strips, just trying to figure it out. It's not a bad fragrance, but I feel weird about wearing it. It just doesn't feel like something that fits me. Maybe that's what it is. It's this sort of strange, difficult thing where it doesn't feel like a scent that would come from me. Like, I wouldn't expect to smell it on me if I was walking by me on the street. It's fine. Like, it's fine, and it just doesn't move me. But it does intrigue me. I don't know. This is the thing. I'm super conflicted. I like it, but I don't like it at the same time. And this is kind of like, anyone see Star Trek Generations, the movie? Data gets a emotion chip, goes to 10 forward, and he has his first drink, and his reaction is like, ugh! And Guinan is like, it looks like he's hate it, and he's like, yes, I hate it. And she's like, another one? He's like, yes. You know, it's like that weird thing where I'm like, yeah, I think I hate it, but can I have some more, please? You know, and it's just so, I don't know. It's a weird fragrance for me. There are a couple fragrances in my collection that are kind of like that, where I'm like, excuse me, and I like, go away, but I want to keep smelling you. So I guess, do you guys have fragrances like this, where you're just like, I hate it, I love it, but it's weird and I can't figure it out, and I don't know. This one is a mixed bag for me. I kind of really just wanted to make a video so I could rant about this one some more, because every time I smell it, I just kind of cock my head and I'm like, why? Why doesn't this click for me? Some way or the other. Why is it sitting on the fence for me? Why can't I knock this either into the love or hate category, or even just into the boring, I don't care about it category? It doesn't fit into any of those. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't think it's boring. There's something about it that just is like keeping me at arm's length. This is like that scene from Step Brothers where they're like hugging and they're like punching each other. That's how it feels with me and Blue Electrique. It's like I'm trying to hug, but like we're fighting against each other, and I can't figure out why. It's a very strange reaction to have to a fragrance, which is why I've spent so much time thinking about it. So, if you've got thoughts on this one, if you've smelled this one, do you buy a bottle? Is it worth the hype? Do you love this one and I'm just crazy? Let me know. Otherwise, hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.